अस्सलाम वालेकुम students. How are you people? I hope you people are fine. कैसे हैं आप लोग? And I hope you people are studying well also. Okay, today we have come with the next video, the next lecture. Let's see what we have today. Today we are going to study about Pteropsida. Let me go to the slide share. We will be studying about ferns. We will be studying about Pteropsids. Okay, let me share the screen with you people. Pteropsida. The first group that we will be studying is filicinae. Filicinae are generally ferns. Ferns are vascular plants, but they do not produce seeds. Ferns do not produce seeds, and they produce some kinds of spores only. Common examples of ferns are uh, Dryopteris, Pteridium, Pteris, Adiantum. These are the common examples of ferns. What are the common examples of ferns? The common examples of filicinae. The common examples of filicinae are Dryopteris, Pteridium, Pteris, Adiantum. These are the common examples of ferns. Okay, this is Dryopteris. This one, this is Pteridium, and this is Pteris. The basic example, the main typical example that we are going to study of Pteropsida filicinae is Adiantum. Adiantum is also known as the maiden hair fern. Why is it called the maiden hair fern? Because of the black color of this structure. This structure is known as the rachis. It is known as the rachis, the black color of the structure, which is known as the rachis. Adiantum is a small herb growing along moist walls, water courses, and drains, very commonly observed. It is used as an ornamental plant also. The sporophyte consists of stem, leaves, and roots. What do we mean by this? By this, we mean that it has vascular bundles. The stem is brown, thick, underground, horizontally growing rhizome, protected by brownish scale-like structures which are called ramenta and are covered by persistent leaf bases. Ramenta and persistent leaf bases are protecting the adiantum underground stem, which is the rhizome. Adventitious roots means that the main root is not visible. They arise from the underside of the rhizome. Okay. Adiantum. Fronds. Now, what are fronds? Fronds are large leaves which consists of smaller leaves called pinnules and arise from the upper side of the rhizome, that is known as the frond. The frond is actually the large leaf that arises from the upper side of the rhizome. This is a frond. This is a frond, and it is made up of smaller leaves. This whole structure is known as fronds. Young leaves show circinate vernation. Circinate vernation also, these young leaves are also called fiddleheads. It shows circinate vernation because they are very delicate and they do not have the power to produce the spores. As they grow and they become stronger, then that coiling or that vernation, it opens up. I'll show you this image of a circinate vernation situation. The stipe and rachis of the frond are black and smooth and shiny. Thus, it is known as the maiden hair. Sporangia develop inside the sori. Sori are present on the underside of the leaves. This is the underside of the leaf. Sori are actually collections of sporangia, and these are protected by a transparent cover, which is called the false inducium during the young stages. Right. Circinate vernation. Now look here. This is the young leaf which is coiled. This is a diagnostic character, a very, very important feature of filicinae, that the young leaves are coiled like that, and as they grow on, they keep Upon opening of this leaf, you see it is opening up. ये खुल रहा है. As it, this is a frond. This whole one is a frond, and these are the pinnules, which are the small leaflets. The life cycle of Adiantum: heteromorphic alternation of generation. Sporophyte is dominant, gametophyte is small and reduced, but separate and independent. This is the sporophyte. This is the gametophyte. It is smaller in size. It is green, photosynthetic, but it is independent. It is not dependent on the sporophyte. However, initially in life, the sporophyte is dependent on the gametophyte for germination. The sporangia, the sporangia collect together and they are called the sori. Each sporangium is made up of two types of cell. This is the sporangium, and the sporangium is made up of very thick cells called the annulus, and thin walled cells which are called the this is called the annulus. And then what's happening to them? First of all, let us see the structure of the sporangium. The stomium, the thin walled cells are called the stomium cells. When the sporangium has to release the spores, then the pressure is going to be exerted and the stomium cells are going to burst because they are not very strong, and the annulus cells are very, very strong and they have a very thick cell wall. They have tangential and radial thickening. Sporangia are slightly flattened, biconvex, ovate, borne on a multicellular stalk. The capsular wall is made up of a single flat thin-walled cells. Narrow side of the capsule has two parts, the annulus and the stomium. The annulus is 75% of the edge. It is made up of thick-walled cells, which are inner tangential and radial walls. And then the stomium is 25% of the wall, made up of radially elongated thin-walled structures. The haploid spores produced from the spore mother cells by sporangia. Inside the sporangia, annulus contracts in dry weather, exerting a stretching force on the stomium cells, and it splits open and releases the spores. The spores germinate to produce the gametophyte, and this is the gametophyte. This is the growing point, the apical notch. This is the archegonium. These are the antheridia, and fertilization is going to take place on this point. And initially, the sporophyte will be dependent on the gametophyte, but as it grows and becomes stronger, then it shrivels off. The gametophyte will shrivel off. The prothallus is actually the first baby plant that arises from the spore, that is a prothallus. It is and the gametophyte of Adiantum, it doesn't have a specific shape and structure. It doesn't have a specified leaves, stem, and roots, but it is a heart-shaped structure, green in color, with rhizoids for absorption and anchorage on the soil, and green in color for photosynthesis. The apical notch is the growing point. Autotrophic, small, heart-shaped gametophyte, 1/3 of an inch in diameter, just about the size of the thumbnail, with a notch having the growing point and attached to the soil by rhizoids. It is composed of round, thin-walled cells, several cells thick in the middle, but one cell thick in the margins. Monoecious means both the sex organs are present on it. On the underside, archegonia near the notch, and antheridia among the rhizoids. The antheridia are small, spherical structures producing numerous spirally coiled, multiflagellated antherozoids. Right? Okay. Archegonia consists of a neck. This is the neck, and a venter. The egg is present inside the venter. Archegonia consists of the neck and the venter, and the egg is present inside the venter. Look here, this is the venter, and from this the sperms are going to enter and fertilization is going to take place, and on top of the gametophyte the sporophyte is going to grow, and then after fertilization this is going to close and the embryo is going to be produced. Antherozoids swim to the archegonia, fusion takes place, more spores are formed, develops into a sporophyte, first attached to the gametophyte but then becomes independent. Life cycle of the fern generally. This is the sporophyte, 2 and This is circinate vernation showing the young leaves. This is the frond. On the underside of the frond, we have sori. Sori are groups of sporangia which are covered by false indusium. It's made up of two types of cells, the annulus and the stomium. When there's a dry weather, the annulus will shrink and the stomium will burst open. The spores are going to be released. The spores are monoecious, that is, they will germinate into a bisexual gametophyte. This bisexual gametophyte is green in color. It is then going to produce the N3D and the sperms, and this is the archegonium. It is going to be retained here. Fertilization is going to take place. The ovum is going to be produced. Sporophyte will grow inside the archegonium, and initially the sporophyte is dependent on the gametophyte, but later on the gametophyte is going to shrivel off. Now, the next topic that we will be studying is the evolution of the seed habit. See you people next time. टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ, अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. अगली दफा इंशाल्लाह दोबारा मुलाकात होगी. अल्लाह हाफिज.